it's Andie Marie. I run cross country for the University of Tennessee, and this is the No Playbook podcast.
All right. Thank you so much for checking out the show. This is the podcast featuring the outstanding athletes, coaches, and experts from East Tennessee. Today's guest, Andie Marie Jones from East Tennessee. She went to Maryville High School, my alma mater, and she now runs cross country for UT. So it was a pleasure having Andie Marie on the show. She talks about her recruiting, her extra training. We talk about some specific stuff with Maryville. And also she shares something that very few people know about her. This episode is sponsored by Stinnett Collision, actually with a location in Maryville and Sevier County. If you're in need of automotive repair, give them a call at Stinnett Collision. I'll get to Andie Marie Jones right after this. Sit tight.
Hi, I'm Zach Stinnett, third-generation owner of Stinnett Collision. As a proud supporter of Tennessee athletics, we know that every game counts. When a collision puts you out of play, we're here to get you back in the game. Family-owned since 1965, Stinnett Collision now has locations in Maryville and Sevierville. With double the space and a team of certified technicians, we'll tackle your repairs and get you back on the road in no time. Don't let a collision sideline you. Visit Stinnett Collision today.
I am in the basement of our athletic academic center. It's the Thornton Center. Yeah, there's just some tables outside. I currently have my laptop propped up on a chair right now. But our coaches' offices are down here, and so I'm just outside. I figured this would be at least a little bit of a quiet place, but
Excellent.
Very
cool.
So
Yeah. So first of all, so you help coach the Maryville junior high team?
Well, no, I don't help coach, but yeah, sorry, that elevator just opened. So maybe not as quiet as I thought it was going to be. But no, I don't help coach, but I have just kind of like in the summers, I'll come up and just help out a little bit, or if I'm free. But I mean, I've come to a lot of the meets, and my mom's been doing it for years. She was the assistant coach when I was there, like 8th grade year, and then she took over head coach after I left and went to high school. So we've been very involved in the middle school cross country program at Maryville for quite some time now.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you lived in Maryville your whole life?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. There was a very brief stint where I was like 2 years old. We moved to Savannah, Georgia for about a year and then came back. So yeah, but born and raised in Maryville. So
excellent. So I love having Maryville High School graduates on the show.
Yes.
That's always nice.
Yes,
I've been here since 97. My family moved.
Okay,
I was in the
yeah.
11th grade.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's cool. What brought you to Maryville?
My dad's work, but I grew up in North Carolina.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So not too terribly far. It wasn't like a whole country move.
No, it's about an 8-hour drive. But my son, Bennett.
Yes, I've met him. I don't know him. I don't know him well, but but yeah, I've been at practice and he's been there, and so I probably would recognize him, but I unfortunately don't know much about him.
Well, I don't know that he's on the college route for cross country, but it is very interesting getting to see what all he does and his teammates, and then to speak with some of you all to hear kind of how you ended up at Tennessee.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean it's such a great sport, whether you do go onto a higher level or if you just stick with it and just you're running every day, running a couple times a week, whatever it is. It's just such a great sport. At least I think. I'm totally biased, but
So talk about the recruiting experience, and what it's like being from East Tennessee and running for the Vols.
Yeah, absolutely. I was born and raised obviously in Maryville, Tennessee, and both of my parents went to UT. That's where they met. So I was born and raised a Vols fan as well. So it's been definitely a little bit of a surreal process. For sure. I like to joke that I really never had a chance to go anywhere other than Tennessee because by the time I figured out that I was pretty good at running, it had just become my dream. I was like, it would be so great to be able to go run for the university that I've been such a fan of for so long and wear the power tee. And yeah, so it's been really awesome. You have a lot of local hometown support. You kind of feel like a hometown hero, when you're at a university that's local that a lot of people support. Just running around Maryville when I go home over the breaks wearing my UT gear, people will stop me all the time and be like, yeah, go Vols. And so I feel very loved, honestly. And it's really such an honor. It's been awesome.
Well, whether you're, a 5-star quarterback on the football team or a cross country athlete or a swimmer, tennis player, there's always interesting recruiting stories. So do you have
Yes.
any were you even considering other schools?
I was a little bit, but I was pretty set on UT. So my major is pretty specific. I have a nuclear engineering major, and so that really narrowed my field for where I could look. So I knew I wanted to run Division 1 because I felt like I was good enough to do that. And then having that really specific major really also narrowed it down. So I really was only looking at bigger schools because most of them don't offer such a specific nuclear engineering or such a specific engineering discipline. But yeah, I mean, I talked to a couple other coaches. I talked to Syracuse for a while and Purdue and talked briefly to like Alabama and Florida, NC State. But I mean, I was pretty dead set on UT, and I literally took one visit. That was the only, like, I did not take any official visits except for the one to UT, and I did not commit on the spot. But a couple days later, I called the coach at the time and I was like, I want to be a lady ball. So, yeah, I mean, it really, no one was surprised. Everyone was pretty dead set on, on me coming to UT. It was not, yeah, I mean, everybody was expecting it. So,
What do you want to do with that major?
yeah, so I'm really interested in power production, so nuclear power production. I actually this past summer interned at a nuclear power plant down in Spring City, Tennessee, with the Tennessee Valley Authority with TVA, and it was really cool. It was a great experience. But yeah, I'm really interested in nuclear power, because I think it's a great opportunity to kind of veer our country towards a little bit more sustainable, but also more consistent energy resources. So that's what I'm interested in.
How much does it bug you when people say nuclear?
You have no idea. It's just something in me just kills me every time. Oh my gosh. It's really bad too because I have some friends that are in my classes and they will also say nuclear. I'm like, you are a nuclear engineering major. Say it correctly.
Right.
But I'm not gonna actually I don't reprimand people. I just internally tuck it away. I'm like, okay, it's fine. But
Now, how about I would imagine there's some extra training you've got to go through to compete on your level that's beyond just going for runs all the time. Anything in the weight room or that kind of stuff?
yeah, we lift twice a week. With UT, we lift on our workout days. So we work out twice a week and then we lift on those days. I'm also in the process of steeplechase training. So that is also a separate thing that I'm doing. So me and one of the other girls presently on our team, we are working with one of our coaches who is a fantastic steeplechase coach. So we're working with him, just trying to get ourselves ready. I've been really hoping to do this for quite some time. So I've been training for it for a couple of years now, but have not been given the opportunity to race it just quite yet. So we're getting there. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of commitment outside of that. I mean, we'll do things like core as a group, like we'll all get together after practice a couple days a week and get together and go through this pretty extensive core routine as well. And there's definitely a lot of just little things like maintenance wise in terms of recovery and getting all of that done. Weird little, we call them twinges that pop up. So like having something weird pop up, staying on top of your PT and going to see our athletic trainers. There's definitely some of the less appealing parts of it that are definitely a part of our everyday life.
Yeah. And injury prevention, I would imagine that's such a big part of your training too.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. We do a lot of pre-run activation type stuff to just kind of get our muscles warmed up, especially right now in the winter when it's really cold. It's hard to demand a lot from your body when your muscles are not warmed up and not ready to fire like we want them to. And so, yeah, we do a lot of preventative stuff to get our bodies ready, but also to make sure that we're not putting ourselves in a bad position. So yeah. But I mean, honestly, the biggest thing that we do that we emphasize is just fueling and sleeping, because those are, I mean, sleeping is the way that your body recovers, and then fueling is the way that your body can repair itself. So yeah.
Yeah. What about somebody that is kind of like my son, who's, a rising eighth grader, that somebody that's interested in it, but they want to be better? Like, do you have any kind of advice for somebody like that?
Stick with it. Have fun with it. This is a fun sport. This is one of my favorite. I mean, it's my favorite sport, obviously, but it's so fun because everybody can do it. You don't have to be the best of the best. You don't have to have all this fancy gear. You don't have to even necessarily have this set facility to go do it. I mean, you can literally go down the sidewalk, go down your neighborhood, and just go run. Finding buddies to do it is so much better too. I mean, I run with my mom when I'm home and she loves it. Having our team has been incredible. I mean, at Maryville, I was one of few. I ran with the guys pretty much the entirety of my high school career, but I did a lot of solo runs, solo workouts, solo runs, all of it, just because I didn't have many buddies to run with. And so, yeah, finding people to do it with is so much better. It's so much more fun. But yeah, just finding a love for it is like, I don't know. I think it's the running is such a metaphor for life too. And so there's so many comparisons that you can make. And I don't know. It's very special to me. I'm obviously having a hard time like expressing that, but I've held it near and dear to myself for a pretty long time. So
When you go on those solo runs, do you go music or podcasts?
sometimes neither. Sometimes I'm just alone with my thoughts. I'm a
Wow.
psycho sometimes. But anyways, most of the time music. Um I haven't started the podcast grind. Like I just got into listening to podcasts really this summer because I was driving a lot. Um Driving to the power plant. It was kind of far. But yeah, so I haven't gotten on the podcast grind for runs just quite yet, but I'm not against it. I feel like I'm really interested in either the really, really long episodes, like the 2 hour ones, and I mean, I don't have that many 2 hour long runs, or the like really short ones that are like 30-minute long podcast episodes or something like that. And I'm like, I'm gonna need like three of these to get through this run. So yeah, I haven't found that balance yet. So we're
Yeah.
working on it.
Is there a coach or another athlete that you would say has kind of like inspired you to push yourself even harder?
So I'm so out of touch with the running community. You would think that I would be so involved in it. I know nothing. I know absolutely nothing about the running community. I watched the Summer Olympics, I watched the marathon, and I watch all the track events and all of that. But so like I know some big names, but I don't keep up with it. I don't follow anyone on Instagram. I'm not like so honestly, no, I'm pretty internally motivated. I'm pretty self-driven. Um like I mean I've definitely had some pretty great coaches in the past, but and like I have little adages that they'll say that are stuck with me, especially that'll come back in really hard workouts or tough races or something like that. um but I mean honestly like I there's not really one person that has inspired me to get to where I am, to keep going. Yeah, I mean I think it's just how much I want it, honestly. Like I think I know that I like this. I know that I love this, and I know that I want to keep improving, and that I can keep improving if I trust my coaches, if I trust myself enough. And so, yeah, I mean, I think this is just pushing myself. Like, how far can I make it?
Yeah, I love that. You're identifying like what your passion is and something that you want so badly, and that's your driving force. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean,
So
I feel like that's most of runners, though. I think we're pretty much mostly very internally driven. I mean, you'll definitely find people that are like, oh yeah, this person is such a role model to me, but we're alone with our thoughts so much that you have to be
yeah,
you have to be a little bit crazy and a little bit to the point where you can just push yourself over the edge. So
yeah. You know, I don't even know the guy's name, but we were talking about podcasts. We were talking about people that will be inspiring. There is an athlete. He's actually from Johnson City, Tennessee, so not that
okay,
far away. And I actually heard him on Daniel Tosh's podcast not long ago. The guy has no legs, but
okay,
he as an Olympic, I guess it's Paralympic, like champion for sprinting.
no
And
way.
I listened to him on this episode and he just talked about like the technology of what he runs on and everything. It was so fascinating, but also like he's been such a great athlete since he was just a young child. Golly, what the heck's that guy's name? I don't remember. But I was just thinking about that. Like that's a guy that I was like, man, if that guy can do it, I can, get out and
I know those
push
stories always
myself.
make me feel like a loser. Like I'm like these incredible athletes that are overcoming odds that I've never even thought about. And I'm like,
Yeah.
and they're out here just blowing me out of the water. And I'm like, dang, I gotta get on my stuff. I gotta get my stuff together.
What's something that very few people know about you?
Ooh, that is a good question. Well, I am Maryville, so I obviously I've been running for quite some time. I've been competitively running since my sixth grade year because Maryville High School or Maryville City Schools had a middle school cross country team, and that's when I could join and start competing. So I joined in sixth grade, started running, got good at it. Um, and started breaking a couple school records, all of that. It was super fun. My eighth grade year was the last year that the state of Tennessee ran the 3,200 in middle school. Like that was the last year that they had that event as a middle school track event. And so I ran that, broke the school record, and then after that season ended, like that was it. So as far as I know, unless they're gonna bring it back, I'm pretty sure I permanently have that school record.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and another question I ask is an unforgettable sports memory for you. I'd say that's probably up there.
That one's definitely up there, but I have to share this crazy story from this past season. So this past cross country season was definitely interesting. We went to our pre-nationals meet. So we had a nationals almost course preview, but it was a race in late October, mid late October, something around there. And it was in Wisconsin, in Madison, Wisconsin. And so we get up there, it's this huge race. A bunch of the really, really big teams, really competitive teams in the entire country are there, trying to do well, trying to score points to get to the national meet later in the season. And so we're there, huge race. Gun goes off, we're running. It's crazy. There's people everywhere. And about half a mile into the race, we're still bunched up in a huge group. A couple girls ahead of me, there's a girl that falls. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And so girls just start falling. I mean, it's dominoes from there. And so it gets to a point where I'm in this pack and I realize I'm going down. I'm going to fall. And so at this point in time, I have never fallen in a cross country race or any race for that matter. Never fallen. I have no idea what this is like. I'm terrified. So anyway, you keep running and you just kind of realize you have this realization, okay, I'm going to fall. And I don't remember falling, but I do remember being on the ground. And so I hit the ground, I'm on all fours. And, in cross country races, we're wearing track spikes. So they're shoes and then they have little hooky things in the bottom. And so I'm on the ground, I'm getting stepped on, I'm getting kicked. I can see people like hurtling over me. Yeah, and so I can feel people like stepping on me. And the only thought in my brain is I have to get up because if I stay on the ground any longer, I'm going to get hurt. And so I somehow or another, I have no idea how, somehow or another, like stand up. I have people like running into me as I'm trying to push myself off the ground. And I get up and I'm like, okay. And so I have the split decision moment where I'm like, I can either freak out and just let this entire race go to the pot, or I can get up and I can make the most of this. And so I'm only half a mile into this 6K race. So it's a little less than 4 miles. Like I still have almost 3.5 miles to go. Like I gotta get moving here. And so I'm like, okay, we're just gonna go. We're gonna just forget, forget freaking out. This is a thing that happened. We're gonna move on from it. At this point, I have zero idea how badly hurt I am. I start running. I can feel that my left leg stings a little, and I figured, like, I'm reasoning in my brain, like I have to be bleeding because, people are wearing spikes. I know I got stepped on, but I didn't feel it. I was like, okay, whatever. So I didn't think it was that bad because I'm like, I can still run, whatever. And so I'm working my way up through this race because I have gotten so far back just from being on the ground. And it's almost like a two-loop course, but we're making almost right-hand turns pretty much the entire time. And so everyone is standing on the inside, like all of the spectators, all of the coaches, my parents, our athletic trainer, everybody. But the leg that was hurt was my left leg. And so no one sees it because it's on the outside. And so I get to my coaches, the first time I get to my coaches that are standing on the sidelines, and they're like, hey, like, you're good, you're fine, like cheering me on, almost like a sympathetic, like, why are you back there? You should not be this far back. And I'm like, I almost look at them like I want to shout at them, like, I fell, don't you know that? Like, but obviously I didn't. I was like, I have to finish this race. But anyway, so I'm like, this whole time I'm confused. I'm like, how does nobody know? And so yeah, so I finished the race. The race actually went really well. I think I just had a ton of extra adrenaline and ended up scoring for our team. So I got fifth on our team. And so that was a wild experience. But I crossed the line and I finally get the chance to like look down at my leg and it is covered in blood, like just soaked. I mean, it was insane. But I'm still super hyped on adrenaline. And so I look down at it, I start laughing. I'm like, dude, that's sick. That looks cool. And so I see one of our media guys, he had come with us. And so I come over, I'm like, Ryan, look at my leg. Take a picture of my leg. And it just looks gnarly. Like there are scratches everywhere and it's just blood trickling down. And and so we're like laughing about it. And I see my dad and I'm like, dude, look at it. And he looks at me, he's like, Andie, you're going to need stitches. I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. But once again, still hyped on adrenaline. I had just finished the race minutes before, and so I'm totally out of it. And anyway, so we're talking for just another minute or so, but then a race official comes over to me and he's like, we need to get you to the medical tent. I'm like, you're probably right. So we go over to the medical tent and my athletic trainer comes in and she looks at me and she's like, oh my gosh, what happened? I'm like, well, we fell. So we get all cleaned up. I don't do a cool down for this race because we book it over to an urgent care, and I ended up getting 38 stitches in my leg.
Whoa.
So 38 stitches later, we get on a plane, fly back to Knoxville. 2 weeks later, well, 10 days later, I get my stitches out. 2 weeks after that race, I race again in our SEC championship. That race went great, and then we just kept rolling with the season. But yeah, so it was insane. I have
38
these
stitches is insane.
30, it was insane. Oh my goodness. The lady that was the doctor that was stitching me up was like, I have never seen anything like this before. She's like, I think this might be a first for me.
Did anybody else get hurt?
There were a couple other girls that I know fell. One of my teammates also fell, and she had one scratch on her leg, and they did some bandaging on it, but didn't end up getting stitches. I definitely think I got the worst of it. I was in that medical tent for quite some time and saw people coming and going, and nobody was quite like quite like mine. But yeah, it was rough. I've
I
got some
gotta
pretty
imagine,
big scars.
what is that like if you're somebody that's like thinking about passing you on the outside and they're like, maybe I'll stay back here.
Okay, well, that's the funny you asked that actually, because I had after the race, I I was just wandering around, but then my dad comes up to me afterwards and he's like, "Hey, I was just over there, like kind of a little bit, I don't know, in another area of the finish shoot or whatever." And he's like, and I was overhearing these girls talking. I don't remember what school they were from, but he was like, yeah, one of the girls was saying, I'm like coming down the chute. We probably have a quarter mile left. And this girl comes by me and she's got blood all down her leg and she's just blowing by me. I had so much adrenaline. I don't know what happened. I was moving. But yeah, so I mean, there are people in the race that are recognizing this because I mean, it's pretty obvious. Um, yeah, I don't know what you would do. I have no idea what my reaction would be in their situation. Like if I see somebody that's passing me or that's in front of me that I'm trying to pass that has just I mean gashes in their leg, like looks like I got, I don't know, into a bear fight or something. I have no
Wow.
idea what my reaction would be. It would be insane.
That's
But
the best story I think somebody shared on here.
I'm just so thankful it wasn't on my arms. Like I didn't get stepped on my arms. My head was fine. My back was fine. Like it was just entirely my leg. So I'm just so thankful it wasn't anything worse. I didn't end up with a concussion or anything else like that. So yeah.
Well, and you still finished great.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, that's the crazy part.
Man, well, hats off to you. That is fantastic.
Thank you. I know you don't really know how to react to that. You're like, that is actually insane.
Well, I'm thinking like there's just so many people that would have just been like, I gotta quit. I hurt my leg.
Yeah,
I'm not moving forward. And I just think
yeah.
that's really cool that you were like, no, screw this. I'm going, man.
It helps that I couldn't see it. Like, I think if I had been able to see all of the blood in the moment, then I would have freaked out. But it was on the back of my leg, and so I had no idea. So I was like,
Yeah.
let's go for it. Like, what else am I gonna do? Like, I gotta finish the race. I'm not just gonna not finish, you know? So,
Well, well done. Well done.
thank you. Thank you.
So good. It's kind of gross now. I actually had one more question, but weird segue. I was going to ask as a Maryvillian, what's your favorite Maryville restaurant?
Oh, that's a great question. I love Aubrey's. It's not a Maryville specific restaurant, but it is like an East Tennessee specific restaurant. So love that. My mom and I are huge fans. But oh man, I'm trying to think. Such a good one. The Walnut Kitchen is really great. I've only been there once, but it was really good.
Isn't
It's
it?
a
That's
little,
such a good place.
I know, it's such a great place. Yeah, those are two good ones, I think. But oh man, I feel like I don't go out to eat all that often. Like I feel like I just grew up. We would just always cook meals at home, so I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little bit more well versed in the restaurants in Knoxville, I feel like, because
Mm,
being here, all of my friends will be like, "Oh, it's my birthday, let's go out to eat," or "Hey, we have a recruit in, you guys should go take them and get pizza," or something like that. And um, I've been out to eat here a little bit more than back in Maryville. So
got it.
yeah.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Let me know if
Yeah,
there's anything else I need to do for you or whatever.
will do. All right. Have a good one.
Thank you, you
See
too.
ya.